the very first thing I do when things aren't going right or I'm under pressure or I'm feeling that running from the tiger is I really stop and I'm like, hey, Emma, be kind to yourself right now. Yeah, you're tired. You've worked long hours. You can't be there for everyone. Like I have these conversations with myself because I'm not going to achieve anything when I create more danger in my own environment by saying, this sucks, you've dropped the ball on that, you're hopeless at that. It's like I'm a caveman looking for a tiger to eat me. I'm not going to do that to myself.
Welcome to the Dwayne Kerrigan podcast, and I'm your host, Dwayne Kerrigan. With 35 years in business and close to 30 ventures across 12 industries, I've seen a lot. Amid the celebrity allure of entrepreneurship, many exceptional entrepreneurs remain shadowed. Here, I team up with these hidden talents to unveil their challenges and successes. Dive in with me to unearth entrepreneurial gems, learn from our experiences, and get educated. Okay, hey guys, welcome to part 2 of this conversation with Emma Murray. In part 1, we explored how attention and mindset shapes performance, and in this one, we turn that insight into action. So Emma breaks down how to review performance without self-criticism, learn from failure, and support of others under pressure. She introduces critique over criticism and shares simple ways to stay present when stakes are high. So I hope you enjoy this. Have an awesome day, and we will chat with you after. And so and I don't know if this lands in mindset or if it lands in the skill set box, but what do you say about like post-execution reviews?
Massive. I call it critique over criticism.
Yep.
Typically, our thoughts drive our feelings, and our thoughts and feelings drive our actions. So if I'm going into a sales call and I'm thinking, I need to get this sale. If I don't get this sale, I got to have this sale. Now my breath is getting short and my shoulders getting tense because of the danger. And my voice is not clear. And then my actions are, I don't ask for the close and I don't get the sale.
Yeah, and your non-verbal face looks like you almost got hit by a truck. Yeah.
Exactly. And so then we walk out and we criticize our actions. We go into self-criticism. We might have a leader that criticizes those actions. I think in business today, we've got better at weeding that out. But we certainly go into that self-criticism. I'm useless at this and I'm hopeless at that and I didn't do that. God, what is this person going to think? And now the next sales call we go into, we carry all of that criticism. We're now thinking, our thoughts are full of that criticism. This is bad, this is terrible. Don't muck it up like last time. You got to do better because you didn't do well last time. That's driving these feelings of tense, tight, shallow breath. And now I stuff it up again. So I'm carrying that criticism into the next moment, and then I'm carrying that criticism into the next moment. What we want to get really good at is critiquing the entire process. And the entire process in any performance moment is, what was I thinking? What was I feeling? And what actions were I taking? I quite often work with people in sport, and I'm there at the game and they come off at halftime and I've got like 2 minutes. My very first question to that person is, what's your dominant thought out there? I don't go, oh, how are you going? I say, what's your dominant thought? And a footballer will say to me, I haven't touched the ball. I missed that goal. Instantly, I know if their thought is on stats, is on outcome, I know that their feeling is tense, tight, their posture's small, they've gone into this freeze response, they've gone into this hard response. I don't even need to ask that because I've seen enough of people in performance to know that when they've gone to outcome, their body's gone into that physiology of fear. And so then I know their actions are going to be slow to react. They're going to be not putting their head over the ball. They're going to be constricted because they're now in that freeze and flight response. And so I'm critiquing that entire process. And I'm getting the learnings from that entire process. So I'm learning that when I focus on outcome, it makes my breath shallow and then I can't project my voice in that meeting. Oh, so what do I need to do next time? I need to breathe deeper and I need to focus on the process of listening because I can control that. So now when I critique that whole process, I'm taking those learnings into the next moment. And when I take the learnings into the next moment, that is growth. That is when I move quickly. Failure is not what is driving success. Lots of us fail continually, and we are not getting growth from that. What is driving the growth from failure is when we critique the process, the whole process, and we take the learnings from it and we carry those learnings forward. But that is a process. You actually have to learn to do that. And not only do you need to learn to do that critiquing process, it's like, okay, well, when do I fit this into my day? Is it that when I come out of every meeting, I immediately sit down and I critique my process? Do I do it mentally? Do I do it down on paper? Do I do it every lunchtime where I'm reflecting back on my day in advance? Do I do it at the end of the day? Like I present a lot of workshops. There is not a workshop that I don't leave that in the car home, I don't go through that workshop and critique my process and take the learnings. And I talk to myself literally in that first person, Emma, okay, what do I need to do next time? You should have listened to that person. And I'm going through that critiquing process. You have to know when I'm doing that in the day and create space for that and actually do that critiquing process.
And so what is that, like, what would that process look like? Like, I know that you said, what was I thinking? What was I feeling? And what was I executing
And what
on?
actions were I taking? And
What
so
actions?
ask yourself questions. And this is where we go back to that exercise I was saying to do with Tennille, holding up what it looks like when I'm at my best in that A game, what I'm doing when I'm in my B game. We're asking questions like, when did I go into that B game, or when did I go into outcome? I went into outcome right before I even walked into that meeting. I was thinking about it at my desk. I have to, I should, I better. What actions was I taking? Did I project my voice? No, I didn't. Why didn't I project my voice? Because I wasn't breathing. What do I need to do next time? I need to breathe more. That question, what do I need to do next time, is the most important question. So you're looking at where you were performing your best when you weren't, and what do I need to do next time? You might have nailed that meeting. You might have nailed that golf shot. You still want to critique it. What did I do that enabled me to do that? I held my attention on my feet. What do I need to do next time? I need to anchor my attention on my feet again. That really helped me. And that's how we grow. Failure does not give you growth if you're not actually eliciting the lessons from it.
What would you say to somebody that has like a team member or a golf game that's off or whatever, that doesn't do the critiquing, that doesn't take the time to actually really sit down and analyze what it is that they're doing?
The leader, the manager, they need to get out of the doing, right? They're so deep in the doing. They're so deep in because they feel so responsible for the final sales number, the final result, that they're in the doing themselves. And we don't have time because there's so much to do. And we don't have time to talk about this stuff. So we save it for the quarterly. I mean, how ridiculous are quarterly reviews? It's like, if you're not reviewing and critiquing every single day, by the time we get to a quarterly review, our human wiring is so in fear of what's going to be said in that quarterly review, we're not listening to anything anyway. So we have to create space. I think if a leader gets their weekly meeting far more productive in the space of, let's reflect on last week. What did we do well? What worked? What helped you? Where did we get tripped up? When you got tripped up, where did your attention go to? Like, I did that terrible sales call with, that client. What were you thinking before you went into there? Where was your focus on? What could you do next time? If we're not looking at that.
But sorry to interrupt, but it seems like they're doing like and this is probably what I've done and probably still do, is like, I'll get into the process. Like, I'll be like, well, okay, did you ask these questions? Did you ask that question? Did you, did you leave your business card, or did you, whatever the scenario? Is that the wrong message to give as a coach or trainer or leader, business leader?
It's part of it. So that's where we go to as a leader because that's what's comfortable to us. We know that. When I worked with an AFL club that hadn't won a premiership in 37 years, they introduced this mental part of the program. We had an A game, B game review once a week. It was the first thing that we did after the game when we were back in the club. So they played on the Saturday, we were back on the club on the Monday. The boys would come into an A game, B game review for me. And they knew that we're not critiquing the how many goals we kicked, the handballs, what was I doing, with my feet there. We're critiquing the thoughts and the feelings that led to those actions, that led to me not leaving my business card, that led to me not, closing the sale. And there's no right or wrong way to do that except to open it up. And this is where the language of A game and B game is so powerful, because we would start by, when were you in your B game? How did it show up for you? Oh, I started abusing the umpires and I got angry when he didn't deliver me the ball. And how did you shift out of that? Well, then Jimmy came up and he told me to go back to my feet, and he told, and that really helped me when he did that, or I accepted this. And we're just sharing when our minds went to unhelpful places and how we got it back into helpful places. And I think managers resist that because it's like, that's soft, fluffy. I don't want to ask them how they're feeling. Or we go into, hey, how you feeling? I know that sales call was really hard for you. And that person's like, yeah, I really struggled. I forgot to ask the business again. And we don't know what to do with that. So it's really understanding that there's no right and wrong. You are just trying to ask questions around, when's a time you have done it well? Tell me a time where you did leave your business card. What helped you leave your business card then? I was really thinking, I felt really comfortable with that person. Okay, what could you have done to get that same level of comfort with this person? It's just asking questions and exploring the entire process rather than just getting stuck on the actions we did or did not take.
And I'm curious, like, as you were describing that, I was like, what do you, as a leader, what do you say to somebody when you're coaching them in that way and they say, I don't know. Like, I don't know. And they just seem to get stuck in there.
So then I'm like, well, let's go to a time where you did do it well. Like, what's the sales call you have now recently? Like, well, I don't know. Well, I saw you do that one last week. And I saw you ask that business. Tell me what you were thinking going now. Well, that's a client I know really well. I'm really comfortable with them. We go back way back. My kids go to school together. Okay, so because of that comfort level, what questions were you asking them? Well, we were just talking about the family. And then it came to, okay, well, now let's look at the one. What were you talking about going into that? Oh, I was talking about numbers and business. And would you think there was a way that, so you're just trying to take them, constantly think of the exercise I did with Tennille, when it looks at its best, when it doesn't look at its best. I'm trying to get them to understand when it looks at their not best, what does it look like, feel like, where do I go to, and how can I get you to put your attention on when it's at your best? And it's a bit messy and it's a bit clunky and you're not always going to get it right, but you've got to try and critique the process, the full process, so they're getting insight into, I didn't close that business not because I just didn't do it. I didn't close that business because I had a thought in my head, this is a hard client and this client doesn't like it when I close my business. And makes sense?
Yeah, no, it makes total sense. I mean, it is, I believe, one of those things that, and I guess this is maybe a question, is like, I imagine people listening to this is like, okay, yeah, but how long is this going to take? Like,
yeah, exactly. I don't have time for this. And I'm like, you don't have time not to do this, because you're just going to have, people repeating the same habitual stuff because they are not asking for the business, or they're not presenting with confidence, or they're not, doing whatever you're needing them to do, because they have a thought, or their attention is going to a place where they think they are running from a predator or running towards prey. And if you don't get them to shift what they're thinking and feeling in that moment, they're going to keep taking the same actions no matter how many times you tell them you got to close the business. You've got to make more sales calls. You have to speak louder in the presentation. They're not going to do it.
Yeah, I can see some people going like when they take that and when you just said that, it's like I can see a lot of people listening to this going, yeah, well, I want them to run towards prey.
Yeah.
Like that's the whole point of the business. Like that's the not prey, but you know what I mean? That's the
I learned a lot about this at the Paris Olympic Games because I worked with a team that grossly underperformed, and I had done a lot of work around this fear of failure and what it looks like and how it shows up. But I haven't done enough work around when we want to catch this prey so much, we grossly distort the narrative of I have to have it. If I don't have it, I need to have it. And we get this distorted narrative. And think about it, you're running a small business. You need this sale. If we don't get this sale, we've got to have this sale. And so what happens in that distorted narrative is now I'm going into that moment and my physiology is like in this, like I'm running for my life. I'm not going to make a good decision on the hockey field. That's who I worked with in Paris. When I'm running for my life, I'm going to make decisions based on just running fast. I'm not making decisions on how do I connect with my teammate and how do I see this thing. I'm tunnel vision. I'm not seeing all the options available to me. I'm not being creative with my ideas. I'm not bringing big picture thinking. I'm very tunnel. So if you have a deadline to meet, running towards prey can be really helpful. Yeah, like it's good. That's why people listening right now are, I'm so much better with a deadline. Yeah, of course you are. You're running away from failure and running towards that thing. But that is not bringing you your best ideas. It's not connecting people. It's not, being creative, seeing bigger pictures. You will get very limited results by running. Can it be useful at times? Yes. And that's fine, but you don't want to build a business on it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what? It's funny. Like when you were saying it, it reminded me of a buddy of mine went to Africa and he was showing me his pictures and he's like, look at this picture. He goes, and he shows me this rhinoceros, and it wasn't very far. And he's like, we were like, oh my God. And they just kind of like froze and just intently put their attention towards that animal. And he said, he sends us, so then they, back up, do all whatever they got to do that the guides tell you to do in Africa. And then he's like, I get my pictures developed. Sorry, he took it on his camera, but he's looking back at the pictures. And then he's like, as he's looking at the picture, he's like, holy crap. There was another one, like 1/10 the distance as the other one. It was sitting in the bushes that he never even saw. But he goes, it is so, when
Tunnel
you
vision,
move towards or look towards something or put your attention to something with so much intensity that you miss all the other things that are sitting outside in the periphery. And that your senses desensitize so that all that energy, and you probably know this, but that can go into that one kind of like focal point. And so I thought that's what kind of popped into my mind.
Particularly for leaders, because remembering that the dangers sit in the stuff that we can't control, and the things that we can't control as a leader are the people we're leading. And so we already have massive danger around, are they going to get the job done? What if they don't get the job done? I need them to get the job done. And I'm the leader. I've got this goal I'm running towards, and I'm running away from the failure of my team not doing what I need to do. And so we are laser focused on make 20 calls and do the. And our fear in that is now putting them into a fear state. And there's no way they're going to execute their role in a fear state. And the thing that makes us feel so safe when that fear goes away is when is connection. Like when we're in a tribe, we feel safer than when we're not supposed to, as humans, be out hunting on our own. If we're in a tribe, we can relax a little bit. I've got the guy out the front and this. And so your job as a leader is to keep people connected and you be connected to them so that you take the fear out of the environment so that they can hold their attention on the process and execute the process if you've hired the right people. But for you can't just pretend your fear has gone away. That's a biological thing. You as a leader have to make peace with, I can't actually control them getting this sale done. But what I can control is I can control putting their attention focused on the process. I can control helping them critique the process. I can control. And so as a leader, you can't just mask your own fear and then try and build this team and build this connection. You've got to do work around accepting that you cannot control what they do. You might not meet the numbers, but you have to be very clear around what you can do and what you can control as a leader and be focused on executing that. That's very difficult to do for a leader because ultimately they feel 100% responsible for the final number. And that is driving a fear in them because they cannot control the people that are getting that number. Yeah. And I say to athletes I work with all the time when they are like, and the coach, he put me in that and he did this and he spoke to me like that and that, and I'm like, hey, he's human. He's got human wiring. And guess what? The thing that's out of his control, his danger is you. So cut him some slack. And how can you help him feel safe by you asking him questions, telling him where you're at, telling him, hey, I'm struggling with this. I need your help with that. Working together.
I think it's actually, as you're kind of highlighting this, I was, my mind shifted to parenting. Like this is not much different than parenting, right? It's like our children are danger.
Absolutely.
And so, but then how we approach them may not be in the best way. And then we wonder why they shut down and don't want to talk to us. And so it's like, I think that in all levels, which is what I love about business, is like in all levels, it kind of impacts all areas of our lives. So.
I use in the session with Tennille an example of your focus is like a flashlight. And it's like one of those camping head torches you use and it wants to go looking for the bad and the dangerous. And your job and Tennille's job is to pick up that flashlight, bring it back to her legs, her seat, her breath. And the golfer grabbing that flashlight, bringing it back to their feet. Like we're trying to give that focus, that flashlight a job. And I'm like, when you're a parent, when you're a leader, your job is to pick up someone else's flashlight and move it on to what they can do. What they can do in this moment. You can just listen to this client. Yeah, I know he might be tough and he's hard to close and he's negative, but you can listen to this client. So go in there and do that. I know you can do that well, so go and do that. I want people to really reflect and think about how often they put the flashlight of their children on what they can't do, what they're not doing right, what they got wrong, what they haven't done. You haven't cleaned your room, you haven't done your teeth, you didn't do your homework, you should have, and just all day, every day, they're putting their child's flashlight onto their B game rather than their kids walking out for a test and he's like, you know what? You know how to do tests. You went really well in that maths test last week. Hold your attention on your breath and resist the urge of saying, and you haven't done enough work for that. It's like, okay, so their skill set box is a little bit down because they haven't done the work, but how about you just put it on what they can do and start seeing how people respond when you put their flashlight on what they can do rather than what they haven't done and what they're not good at.
Yeah. And then it also this just is then a reflection on what we do to ourselves. So and that gets into the individual, whether it's, in a golf game or whether it's like, I think as we've been having this conversation, I think about the negative talk that I've created in my golf game. Not as much now, but it used to be really bad. Cause I used to be a much lower handicap, and then my handicap but I used to play more, and now I don't have the time to play hardly at all. So the negative talk, and then I just perpetuate the problem through the negative conversation, self conversations. It's not like somebody's sitting out there on the golf course telling me I suck.
Yeah. It's something that I have got very good at. Is the very first thing I do when things aren't going right, or I'm under pressure, or I'm feeling that running from the tiger, is I really stop and I'm like, hey, Emma, be kind to yourself right now. Like, yeah, you're tired. You've worked long hours. You can't be there for everyone. Like I have these conversations with myself, because I'm not going to achieve anything except feeling more danger. My human wiring working against me war when I create more danger in my own environment by saying, this sucks, you've dropped the ball on that, you're hopeless at that. It's like I'm a caveman going looking for a tiger to eat me. I'm not going to do that to myself. And when all else fails, use your breath. But don't use your breath in like, I've got to breathe in this moment. You're using it as an anchor point. You're giving that flashlight a job. Come on to my breath. Feel my breath. Feel my shoulders soften. Feel the air going in and out, because I cannot be curious and engaged in my breath and be on the story of, oh my God, this is not going to be good. This is not going to be bad.
Yeah, the human mind cannot carry two thoughts simultaneously.
No, that's correct.
Yeah.
In a situation where you're trying to perform with other people on a podcast, in a meeting, presenting, something that you can always control and that's very small to do is listening, actually genuinely listening. Start paying attention to how you are never really listening. You're always off somewhere else. Your feet. So all of these things are in the present moment. Be where your feet are. Take your attention to your feet. We call it a fofbok, feet on floor, bum on chair. So it's like, bring your attention to your feet, your bum, your breath, listening. Like those things are going to anchor you back into the present moment. And then you start your process from there. Then your mind will go, oh God, hang on, this isn't going where I wanted it to go on this person. Come back, take a breath, feet on floor, bum on chair, listen, pick it back up again, go from there. So it's like a bicep. It's like my attention goes, I bring it back. My attention goes, it brings it back. That's how I strengthen my bicep. That's how I strengthen my attention. If I'm doing this multiple times during the day, my attention is going to get stronger and I'm not going to go to as many places. I can remember a conversation with an athlete from 5 years ago who I haven't seen for 5 years, because when I listen, I'm so present in that listening. Am I as good with my kids? Probably not. And that's where I have to do more work. But it's just training that mind, training that attention.
Yeah. No, it's true. I mean, and I think the one thing that you just said is like, this is not a one a day thing or a one and done thing. This is a multiple times a day that you have to build this muscle. And if you want, I mean, there's a million reasons, to do this. Just performance, personal improvement, self-development, get more out of 2026 than you thought you could ever get out of 2026. And, but I also think, as we've been having this conversation, I think about like, this is the skill set that you are going to need as technology starts to really start to roll into the world at a massive pace, which it will, is that these skill sets are the things that are going to separate you from the competition. That's there's going to be employment. That's for sure. Will it look different? Yes, it will. But there will be, you can always increase the odds in your favor by doing some things. And this one, having the right mindset is going to be important.
I would add to that is one of the things that is impacting our lives more than anything is stress. It impacts our relationships. It impacts our health. It impacts our performance. Impacts what we eat. It impacts everything. And when my attention is in the danger, this is a simple way to think of it. When my attention is in the danger, when I'm a caveman fighting a tiger, I am in a stress response because I need that stress response to produce a biological response that enables me to run fast, hide, or freeze. If I don't go to a stress response, I can't take fast, strong action. And so we need that stress response. But that's great. But when I'm in a stress response all day, every day, getting the kids ready for school, driving in traffic, waiting for my coffee, in my morning meeting, like I'm in this stress response, the coffee's late and danger, danger, danger. My attention's on, the coffee man hasn't given it to me quick enough, the red light didn't, the kids aren't doing this. I'm in this fight response all day, every day. I'm in a stress response all day. You're lying in bed. Your attention's gone to, why did I say that? I should have said this. You're getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning. You're replaying that story. You're in a stress response all day, every day. We cannot be in fight and flight and rest, digest, and present. So every time I bring that attention back, feet on floor, bum on chair, going to my breath, listening, there's no stress response in there because there's no danger. I'm not trying to win this sales call. I'm not trying to get the kids. I'm just trying to feel my feet on the floor. And so you're only going to be in little snapshots. So it's like punctuate your day. Stress, stress, stress. Drop into this out of stress and have a little moment of rest, recover, presence, performance. Stress, stress, stress. Get out of it again. Stress, 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 get out of it again. So I'm balancing out that stress response.
One question I did have for this actually was, when we do the closed eye process, will we be able to put this on the website, and then will people be able to follow along with it?
It will be very specific to you. And so maybe I was thinking about this on my walk this morning. We might be better to put a generic one on for them to follow. Mm-hmm. Me record a generic one that has music that they can actually use themselves. Okay. Probably would be the most efficient way to do it.
I mean, if you're willing to do it, that would be amazing.
Yeah, happy to do it. And then it's a real resource for them where they can take this and we can have a recording that they can do once a week, daily, whatever they want.
Awesome.
So what is a closed eye? I call it closed eye. That came out of my athletes because it's not really meditation. It's not really hypnosis. It's something that I just do. And they say, hey, can we do that closed eye thing? So we just started calling it the closed eye process. But effectively, when you go into an altered state, which I'm just putting you in a deep, relaxive, sort of trance-like state, then your conscious mind is getting out of the way and I'm talking directly to your subconscious mind. And the generic one that we will do with the listeners is to really get out of that overwhelm and I have to and I should into like just that present state. So it's really good when you've got a whole lot of stuff and you just want to get out of it and get into the moment. We're going to do something slightly different with you and Tennille because you have different things that we want to target. But for the generic one, we'll be getting out of overwhelm just into presence.
Yeah, I want to figure out how I can jack up my performance in 2026.
Watch out don't play golf with him in 2026. To be honest.
Well, better to be business than my golf game.
Yeah, no, sounds good.
Thank you so much, love. Appreciate you being here. Again, I'm so, so grateful. You're the most amazing person and congratulations to all your success. And thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Hey guys, thanks very much for listening and watching. We truly appreciate you being a part of this and hope the conversation served you in many ways. In this next short segment, Emma breaks down 2 essential tools for sustainable performance. Choosing critique over criticism and recognizing when your mind slips out of your A game and how to bring it back. These clips make the concepts practical and immediately usable in business, leadership, and really everyday moments. We also have a closed eye exercise that Emma did with me. I found it unbelievably rewarding and powerful to help think through a problem that I had. It was probably the most clear I've ever seen a problem or thought through a problem in my entire life. So that link is in the show notes. Really highly recommend you guys check that out. Thanks very much. Appreciate you. Have an amazing week and we'll talk soon.
So in any performance moment, we come out of this performance moment We look at our actions and our results, and we criticize them. Now, why do we do that? Because that's our survival mind. Our mind thinks if we tell us everything we did wrong, everything we did bad, everything that wasn't good enough, it's going to protect us from ever doing that again. And it's going to stop us from putting us back into that environment that was not good for us. And so we go into a lot of self-criticism. Sometimes we have a leader or a manager who might criticize us, but typically it's ourself that criticizes the actions we took. Why did I say that? Why didn't I do this? I can't believe I didn't get that. I'm useless at this. When we criticize ourselves, it's very much about us as a person. Like, we're bad, we're not good enough, we're hopeless, we're useless, we're not as good as someone else. And then that criticism is now in a file in our mind, and we carry that criticism into our next performance moment, into our next moment, what we think, what we feel. Our thoughts drive our feelings, that drive our actions, that drive our results. So now that's coming from that criticism. I'm not good enough. I should have done this. Why didn't I do that? That is how we start spiraling and losing confidence from one moment to the next moment. And there's no growth in that. It's very stagnant, and it constricts us and retracts us. When we get into the habit of critiquing, what we are doing is we're looking at the entire performance moment. And in any performance moment, we have thoughts that drive our feelings, that drive our actions, that drive our results. So we want to get good at critiquing the whole picture. What was I thinking as I was walking into that sales call? What was I feeling? Oh, I was thinking that I don't like this client, that they're a really difficult client. My breath was very shallow. My posture was very tense, but I had this fake smile on. And what did that do? Oh, that meant that when I got in there, I really rushed with my words. And what was the result of that? The client just crossed their arms and didn't really connect with me. What could I have done differently next time? Next time, before the sales meeting, I could have been thinking about listening to him, connecting with him. I could have been softening my breath and softening my posture and opening my posture. So now, by asking these questions after the process, after the performance moment, every single time, after every single performance moment, I'm asking those questions. What was I thinking? What was I feeling? What am I doing when I'm at my best? How was it different to when I had that successful moment last time? And the most important question, what do I need to do next time? So it's like, I need to soften my breath way before I get in. When I'm sitting in the car waiting to go into that sales call, I actually need to think about a smaller focus. I need to get out of that big picture and go to a smaller focus. That's what I need to do next time. Now we get the positive learnings. You know, there's helpful and unhelpful learnings. If I have a terrible performance in the rain as an athlete and I learn that I'm no good in the rain, that's not going to help me. But a positive learning is that I can have a bad game and my teammates still love me. That's a positive learning. And now I take those learnings into the next performance moment, and they dictate what I think and feel in that moment. And that informs my actions. That is growth. And this is how we grow quickly. And if we do not have a critiquing process in place, that is happening due to our survival wiring. That is happening, whether you're conscious of it or not. And so when we are more deliberate and conscious about critiquing, we're deliberately growing from every single performance moment. In our mind, we have files, all different files of anything we've ever done is stored in our subconscious mind. We have, every sales call, every golf game, every horse riding event, every training session, every board meeting. And at all times, information is coming into our mind. And our mind is taking that information and it's going through those files to look for other times that that's familiar. And have I been in this situation before? It looks like this situation. And as it's putting that information through the files, it's putting it through the files to work out, am I safe or am I dangerous based on these past experiences? Now, the information is coming from two places. It's coming from our internal environment, what we're thinking, our breath, our feelings, our voice, our hand gestures, what's our eyes doing. It's also coming from the external environment. How are people talking to us? What's the horse doing? Where's the ball? What's the wind doing? All of these external environment, we're taking all of that information, going through those files. So if I am in a sales meeting and I have shallow breath and I'm thinking, oh, this is not going well, and the external environment is that the client's got his arms crossed and he's not giving me feedback, I'm putting it through those files and looking for, is this safe for me or is this dangerous to me? Now, when it's safe to me and I'm going through these files, I just pick up times that I've done it before and I execute my action. And that's based on this muscle memory. It's based on instinct. This is flow. This is when we're in our A game. Information comes in, action goes out. It's very quick to process and it's always based on our best response based on that skill set and our past experiences. But when that information comes in and we're like, oh, hang on, this client is not liking me, this is not good, our mind senses that we're under threat, that we're in a danger, and it sends that information off to be processed by the chimp part of our brain, or I call it the caveman part of the brain. The reason why I wrote chimp here is this model's adapted from Dr. Stephen Peters, a psychiatrist who wrote The Chimp Paradox. Now that the chimp part of my brain is managing this information, it's managing this information through the lens of very jumpy, very hypervigilant. It's making a lot of assumptions. It's got very black and white thinking. So in that sales call, I'm now, this is bad, this is dangerous, I'm not going to get the sale. I'm making assumptions around, he doesn't like me, he doesn't like what I'm saying. The black and white thinking is like, well, this deal's done, no recovering. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to be super aware and catch when I've gone into this chimp or I've gone into this B game. I'm trying to catch these warning signs so that I can stop this and move back into my A game. Now, interestingly, we are 5 times more likely in any situation to raise this danger, danger, danger and send it off to the chimp. So we're 5 times more likely to go to this response. We're never going to stop this response. We're trying to get good at catching it and getting out of it quickly. Now, when we sit in it for a while, what happens is we're processing information now, much, much slower than the A game. And a third part of our brain gets involved. This is a human part. And this is when the human's saying, no, I'm okay, I can do this. And it's trying to cheerlead us back into the situation. But the human part of the brain is now arguing with the chimp part. The chimp's like, no, this is terrible. No, I've got this, stay calm. No, it's terrible. And now I've completely left the moment. I am up in my head. I've lost all awareness of what is going on. I'm not instinctive at all. And I'm super slow. I'm procrastinating. I'm not making decisions. And I'm just my mind has left the arena, left the moment. And so how do we stop ourselves from going to this B game in the first place? We are trying to ensure that the information going into our mind is not raising this danger, danger, danger response. Now, a lot of times people think we say to Neil on the horse, just treat it like a training session so that no danger arises, or just relax, or just be calm. But the fact is the information coming in is still telling her she's in a competition. There's judges there, there's stands there. So that's not going to work. What we're trying to do is create a focus that is small enough that it doesn't raise any danger. So this focus has to be small and it has to be controllable. So when an athlete or a salesperson or a businessman has a focus of, I need to win, I need to get this deal, immediately that information, I need to, I have to, I should, goes into these files. The mind's like, well, what if I can't because I haven't done that last time and I didn't do that 2 years ago? That raises a danger. So when we keep a small focus of all I have to do is listen to this client, all I have to do is get eye contact and connect with this client. All I have to do is, for T, feel my legs, feel the horse, connect with my seat, control my breath. Then all of a sudden that information goes into the mind. The mind goes through the files and goes, oh, you know how to feel your seat. You do that at training. Oh, you know how to connect with that breath. You've been doing that in the last competition. And so there's no danger in that. So when we get into this chimp and that chimp wakes up, so T's mid competition and that chimp wakes up, then she goes back to a very small focus. I don't need to try and get this back on track. I just need to go back to my breath, back to my legs. If the sales meeting's going on track rather than this hypervigilant thinking, we have to stop, go back to a small focus. Let me just go back to listening to the client. So I go back to a simple question. Are you understanding this? Do you need more information? And then listen and have our focus on that listening to get back into that A game where the chimp's like, oh, fine, I can listen. I'm not trying to get this deal. I can do that and shoot back into this A game.
Sounds simple.
Easy.
But the key core to it is really getting to that small focus and a controllable item.
Yeah, and even better when it plays to your strengths. You've had evidence that you've done it well in the past. Then what happens is when you go and T says, let me just feel my legs and feel my breath, it goes into this mind and I've got a file there. I know how to do this. That's not dangerous to me.
And then repetition is the mother of all skill.
Absolutely, over and over again. But the point is 5 times more likely in any situation for the chimp to get involved because of our human survival wiring. And so the skill is to, yes, try and pre-performance, make sure your focus is giving you the best possible chance, but you want to get good at catching the warning signs that you've gone into that B game. That might be in the meeting. I'm up in my head thinking of the next question, not listening. My breath has got shallow. My voice has got really tight. My posture's got small. Oh, hang on. I know what's going on here. Stop, come back to a small focus, reset, go again.
Thanks for listening. I appreciate you being with us. If you found value in the show and know a friend or coworker who could benefit from this conversation, please share the link. Each share creates a ripple effect of knowledge and inspiration. And if this podcast has supported you in any way, please support us by clicking the follow or subscribe button.